That's what Americans are most familiar with.
Silent, yeah, silence. Yeah. That can get kind of boring.
Okay, we're on live, so
Watch what I say.
Okay.
Indeed.
just be aware that we're on live. So everything you say is being recorded for posterity.
Hello, viewers. I hope you all enjoy our session. It will be much fun and delightful. And we will all have a great time chanting. And then again, thank you for watching.
And so far, there's nobody watching.
There will be. Takes time and patience, I guess.
Of which we have plenty.
I wonder if Buddhism would Buddhists study like aliens and stuff like that. In that nature.
We don't deny aliens, but we don't study them either. They're kind of hard to study because they're not around.
That's true. Good. So have you been up to date with your anime?
I've been super busy. I haven't really watched much of anything.
Really? That's sad.
Good in some ways.
Yeah, you can pass from it. Then get back to it and really enjoy it, you know? Started watching again Hunter x Hunter. I'm hooked. It's good.
There's a lot of episodes there from what I remember.
The exact, I think, is 159. And they're still producing more. How would I find out which one is the tallest still?
We do have one other that's a taller. So these ones are the taller ones.
Oh, okay.
Those look.
Big.
I'll sort those out.
Just crashes.
Oh, yeah.
So we will be starting at 5 minutes after. It's kind of a temple policy these days. We start everything at 5 minutes after the assigned time.
Okay. Are you excited?
Huh?
Are you excited?
No.
I love you. What do we do that people? Alright, grab my wawa. You got two types of drums, right? Or two types of...
There's two sticks because you might lose one while you're drumming, so you have a backup.
Oh, okay.
And they have more than one stick.
Sometimes it's because the balls sometimes crack.
Mm. And that stops the flow. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have two sticks too, but you only use one, right?
Teachers usually have multiple sticks so in case there's unruly students.
Indeed.
I don't have a license to throw buys at people, so don't worry about that.
I wonder if the dogs meditate.
I suppose it's possible in theory.
Maybe their barking is meditation. Makes you wonder though.
Hello.
Beautiful. You guys excited?
Yeah, I'm not worried.
Good, good. Any screaming lungs out?
Not screaming. Make sure you maintain a nice, pleasant
rhythm.
tone.
You're a rock star.
Get away.
Get away. All right. Well, welcome to Shodaigyo. And have you been to the service before?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. That's wonderful. So this is Shodaigyo. It's pretty straightforward to pick up the first time. So we're just going to start. Totally lost my train of thought.
Right ahead.
Right. So usually we start with if you look at that, there's just a little bit that we read together, and there's different places when we do. So if you look at the
Just by the numbers.
so you just go through by the numbers. And then, so where it says leader, so I'll start here. Everyone together will join in here. And then same thing here, here. And then during these, I'm going to have a small bell. And so during the bells, you do a right high, full bow. And there's bells to go down and come back up. So if you want, you can just watch or you can join in.
All right.
And then we do a 5-minute silent meditation part. Then we go into, so I'll give some instructions just for how you want to sit. You just want to make sure your back is straight. Your head is like it's got a string from the ceiling. So you just want to check your posture. And then we're going to hold left hand over right. So I'll give the instructions on this. A little bit below the belly button. And just long, deep, slow breathing. And it's just clearing your mind and getting ready to chant. During the chanting part, we're going to chant the Odaimoku, Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. I'm doing that a lot, so. And then afterwards, we do another 5 minutes, it's just a reflection piece to reflect on what we chanted and what had come up for you. And then another part here, so I'll start in, everyone goes together, and the same thing for the end there. So this part goes really, really slow. It might seem like slower than you would normally talk, but that's part of the meditation. And if you have to move a little bit during service, don't worry about. Usually try to be.
Right high. Know this place where the stupa is erected is the place of enlightenment. Here the Buddhas attain Sambodhi. Here the Buddhas turn the wheel of the Dharma. Here the Buddhas entered into parinirvana. Honor be to our eternal Master of the Dharma, Shakyamuni Buddha. Honor be to the great wisdom, the eternal Dharma that equally benefits all, the one vehicle of Honor be to our founder, representing Shodaigyo Meditation, the great Bodhisattva.
So now if everyone would please place your hands into Jolene, the meditation mudra, left hand over right, thumbs touching to make an egg shape. Place your hands just a little bit below your belly button. I want to check to make sure that your shoulder and back are straight. Head should be up. Close your eyes and open them just slightly till they're just a blur. Nothing should be in focus. I'd like you to breathe in long, deep through your nose. Quietly out through your mouth. What we're going to do right now is to settle the mind, clear our mind of all today's activities, and prepare to chant the title of the Lotus Sutra, Yodaimoku. Jōshingyo! Please place your hands in the gashu. This. Now we're going to start chanting the Odaimoku. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Please chant as loudly and clearly as possible. Yeah, starting out slow and getting a little bit faster. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Release your Kasho hands, place them back into Join Meditation Mudra. Back should be straight, elbows tucked in, eyes should be open just to a blur. Nothing should be in focus. Breathing long and slow in through your nose, long and slow out through your mouth. Now we're going to reflect on the Odaimoku we have just chanted and deepen faith. Jin Shingyo!
We offer the merits we have accumulated through the chanting of the Shodaigyo, so that in doing so we may receive the greatest of compassion through the transcendental powers of the original Buddha. For all people, we uphold this universal Dharma teaching of equality that benefits all. We deeply vow to diligently strive for improvement of both our societies and ourselves, as well as to diligently strive for the achievement of world peace. We pray that all people throughout the four corners of the world may return their lives to the eternal Buddha's pure land through the wonderful Dharma of Shodaigyo. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. We pray that each and every family member, as well as our benefactors and our friends, all live in accordance with the true Dharma. We pray that you all enjoy good health in both body and mind. May they increase their understanding of the Buddha's wisdom, expiate their past transgressions, do good deeds, and lead a virtuous life. May they learn to respect each other. We pray that they embrace the correct practice of Buddhism, perform virtuous work, assiduously improve themselves, and achieve family happiness. May they all obtain the eternal peace and happiness. We pray that all beings, as well as myself, will awaken to the true nature of reality, which is the Buddha nature, and that we all will attain the enlightenment of the Buddha. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. We pray for all of the deceased, for the spirits of our ancestors, for all those that formed a relationship with the Buddha, and for all those who have not. May you all follow the benevolent life of the Tathagata. May you cross the ocean of suffering, reach the further shore, and attain Buddhahood. May the merits we have accumulated through this deep offering of prayer be distributed equally amongst all living beings. May we all attain the enlightenment of the Buddha. May all the truly benefit all. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Sentient beings are innumerable. I vow to save them all. The defilements are inexhaustible. I vow to quench them all. The Buddha's teachings are immeasurable. I vow to know them all. The way of the Buddha is unexcelled. I vow to attain the path sublime. With this body, until I attain Buddhahood, I will uphold my faith in the Lotus Sutra. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Right high.
You going for round two?
Round two. You haven't had enough?
No, not yet.
Not on a school night.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, we should let people know where the water is, so in case they get like really thirsty and they start
Well,
coughing.
actually, I was going to talk about that. When we're in Shodaigyo, there's a couple of things that need to be concerned about our practice. Our practice, this is a formal practice. So in a formal practice, we're not getting up and down, we're not moving around, we're not playing with things, we're not drinking water, we're not doing all those things. Those things are not there. As far as moving, when you're in the practice, the time for moving is in between things. So let's say we just finished Joshingyo and we're going into Jinshin-gyo and we're going to Shoshogyo. That period of time when we're transitioning from one to the other, that's when you move. The rest of the time you should sit like a rock. You should be immovable. I should be able to come over there and go, smack, and you should be standing right there. I should hurt my arm. That's how immovable you should be. So part of this is a concentration. This is a meditation. So when we meditate, we have to concentrate the mind. If we're doing other stuff, we're not concentrating the mind. We're not getting anything out of it. So to get something out of it, you have to make yourself solid there. You can have a drink of water when you begin, and a drink of water when you end, but maybe not during the middle of it. Now, if for some reason, you're sick or something like that, and you come, then if you need to have water with you, it's okay, but it's not usually part of the practice. In fact, usually water isn't even allowed in the Hondo, except unless it's being offered to the Buddha. So usually, I don't mind water coming in. In retreat, we frequently bring water in, but you don't want to get to the point where you're distracting people in the group.
Or distracting yourself.
Or distracting yourself,
From
yes.
the practice.
But we especially don't want to distract other people in the group. So you want to keep all of those things in mind when you're sitting. So once you've sat, once you're in place, that's it. Now your job is to meditate, to focus. And then your job is to focus on chanting Ogaimoku. And you want to get loud. And if you get hoarse, that's fine. In fact, that's good. That means you're letting go. If you don't get hoarse and stuff, then maybe you should reconsider how you're chanting, because I get hoarse every single time. And I've been doing this for years. And it's part of the practice to let go and just become that one thing. Let go of all the stuff that's happening up here. All the stuff. I'm hungry. Oh, my body. Oh, it hurts. Oh, this. Oh, that. You got to make your mind behave itself. And the only way to do that is to let go of it. So the practice is very, very important. Shodaigyo is a very succinct and very explicit way of doing this practice. We only did it for, it's not even 1 hour. It was 55 minutes. So it's not a long practice. But I can safely tell you, if you're uncomfortable on the stools, of course you can sit on a stool if you want to do the practice on a stool. So if you come in and you decide you want to be on a stool instead of sitting on a seiza bench or in seiza, go ahead and grab yourself a stool. Stools, I always ask that they be in the second row, not in the first, because it's hard for people behind you to see over you if you're on the stool. But if you're on the stool, there's rules too. So first of all, you'll notice it's a stool. It doesn't have a back. That's on purpose, because if it has a back, then you're going to be over here while everybody else is sitting correctly, and you need to be sitting correctly. Me, I have short legs, so I have to go to the edge of the stool. It's more comfortable. But I can tell you right now that if I sit this way very long, I'm going to start want to move. And the idea is not to move. You don't want to move. You want to stay where you're at for the period of time that we're doing this. You don't want to move at all. You want to go through, you might say, through the pain. I mean, obviously, if it's really, really, really hurting, then if there's something wrong, take care of it. But if it's just, I'm uncomfortable, no, you need to sit through it. Trust me, at some point, your mind will get tired of knocking on. I'm hurting. Sooner or later, you'll go, okay, nobody's home, so I'm going to go. And then you'll be able to sit through it. But as long as you move each time, you're trained. It knows exactly how to get you to play fetch. And so you have to get past that part. So even sitting in this can become uncomfortable. Or even a chair. Because if you're sitting in a chair, I'm going to make you move to the front of the chair. Unless there's some reason you can't. I mean, every once in a while, somebody has a bum leg or they're having back problems or something like that. That's a different thing. But for us that don't have those problems, then we have to think about all those things. So while you're doing your meditation, if you find all of a sudden that I'm sitting like this, then you have to remind yourself, oh, I'm supposed to be sitting like this. If you're chanting, you want to be sitting like this because that opens up your lungs to be able to chant loud and release. If you're sitting like this, you can't. So this is an option. I can tell you, though, pants. When you wear pants, and you want to make sure, you'll notice I wear robes. The reason we wear robes isn't because they're just pretty, but it's because they're more easy to sit like this. Mm-hmm. Because in the monastery, we don't get to use seiza benches. We have to sit like this. But I can tell you, if you are wearing pants and you get up on the cushion, one of the things you might consider is as soon as you get up there, you might want to go like this and pull those pants up a little bit like this, pull them up like this. Because a lot of times what they do is they cut off the circulation in the back of your legs and then they go to sleep. It's more uncomfortable. Also, when you are sitting on a seiza bench, if for some reason it starts getting a little tingly or something while we're chanting, not while we're doing silent meditation, but while we're chanting, you can go ahead and go like this until everything gets comfortable again and then just go back down. But try not to go any more than that. Try hard not to do that.
Yeah, I had to change position myself because my knees are really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
It came a point that this knee was so painful so that I had to sit like this.
Yes,
so,
yes. And if you have bad knees, you might consider using the chair instead. Because you don't want to. I mean, I understand that completely. I'm at the point where this one doesn't like to play as much as it used to like to play.
Yeah, that's what made that the left one is really bad.
Mm-hmm. And the idea of this isn't pain, but the idea is concentration of the mind. So we have to separate the, if it's just a little thing or if it's a real thing that I need to take care of.
I was thinking about that. I'm sorry to interrupt you during the meditation. That my mind was going, like so many things were going through my mind, and suddenly the world kind of settled down little by little. But it was like everything that I did during the day and things are happening in my mind, they were like going crazy.
Yes.
And suddenly sort of like falling into position as I was coming down.
Mm-hmm. It's you know, meditation brings us to levels. We call them samadhis in Buddhism, and each samadhi has its own characteristic. The first samadhi is usually the samadhi of void, and it sometimes takes people, a couple of years to get to that place through meditation. Sometimes some people do it very quickly. It just depends on how well you are at letting go in the mind. As you start the practice, lots of times the mind just keeps interrupting. So what we say is you just keep saying, okay, I see it, done. See it, done. See it, done. And it may be the same thing over and over and over again, but you just keep that process up. And at some point, then the line of things just kind of deletes itself and stops. At that point, you reach void. That's just the first step in samadhi for reaching enlightenment. So it's a long process, but it's very satisfactory. And then a lot of people ask me, well, what good does that do you? Well, if you think about the context of, okay, I'm in a situation where I'm getting really, really mad, a lot of people go, well, count to 10. Well, if you have the ability to be able to just go, okay, let me meditate for a second here, and you use the same kind of concepts you do in your meditation, then you can let go of that anger immediately and then see it over here. And when you can see it over here, then you can analyze it and look at it more carefully and go, what exactly is it about this that made me angry in the first place? And what good does it do for me to get angry anyway? Probably nothing. So it just raises my blood pressure, and it hurts me. It doesn't really hurt anybody else. So we can look at it and go, okay, we start being able to be mindful of the situation a lot. And I usually tell people about an experience that I had, and some of you may have heard this, but some of you may not. I worked in a hospital, and one night they were going around practicing EEGs on people, and where they monitor your heart. And so they were practicing because it was a slow night, so they were showing the new people how to use the machine. So they were looking for volunteers, and I told them they could use me as a volunteer. When they first put them on me, they said, Michael, which is my given name, Michael, you seem a little tense. Because the first thing the machine measures is the electrical fields on your body. So it's kind of like a biofeedback machine. So it was measuring all this tension from work. And so all of a sudden when she said relax, I thought of Gekyo. So as soon as I started chanting in my mind, all of a sudden she was shaking me and asking me, she goes, oh, you fell asleep. And I realized, I go, what do you mean I fell asleep? She goes, well, the needle just went. So I realized at that point that this practice, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, it is doing something. And it gives you the ability to be able to turn things on and off so that you can be the calm person in the room when everybody else is panicking. And you can be mindful of the whole situation instead of wearing the blinders and just seeing the narrow part, see everything the way it is. And so the practice makes it very beneficial in our lives. But it can take a while. I don't ever tell people, tomorrow you're just going to have a breakthrough. I don't know when your breakthrough is going to happen. I hope it's tomorrow, but I can't promise that. It may take you a while. It just depends on how much you practice and how much you give it. You have to give it all. And even if you do those things, it may still take a while. Because a lot of people sit on the cushion and immediately they think of everything that happened today. Oh, did I file that report? Did I do what I was supposed to do? Did I turn off the coffee maker? Did I do this today? Your mind can just keep going and going and going and going and never stop if it doesn't want to. And so we have to get it to that point where it turns off.
How have you heard of transcendental
Yes.
meditation?
It's one of the forms of meditation.
Because they claim that if you practice the transcendental meditation,
that you are able to fall into that deep emptiness very fast compared to other forms of meditation that takes a very long time.
Well, yes, if you practiced it for 30 years, yeah, you can do that. But for somebody who's practiced even Namamyoho Gekyo, I can safely tell you that if you've been practicing for a while, and if you've been sincerely working at it, not just kind of doing it, but sincerely practicing at it, using it as a form of meditation, that your ability to drop down into that kind of stance is there. That ability is there. We don't, as a group, we don't always talk about that side of it. We just talk about how it can make you feel good and how it can make you feel happy. We're using the more simplistic way of talking about it. But in the scientific realm of it, chanting meditation hasn't been studied as much as silent meditation. Transcendental is a form of silence. And one of the reasons is because everybody assumed that chanting meditation wasn't meditation. But the few reports that have been done on it, it can sometimes be faster because it gives you a key. Whereas the key is breathing or staring at a dot on a wall. Yes. Whereas we have this phrase, and this phrase allows us to go immediately into that place. So part of it is how long you've been practicing and what kind of practice you have. If the practice has been correct, then you should be able to fall into a good samadhi. The first time I actually reached void was in an intensive when I was actually a shaman. So as a layperson, I thought I had done pretty good. When I hit void, I realized I had not. And I'd been practicing for years. But when I hit that void, I immediately realized where I was, and I fell back out of it. Because the first thing I did was clutch. I reached out and tried to grab it and keep it, because it feels really cool. And then I tried to get back into it, and it doesn't work that way. You have to let go. And so now, because I'm usually the teacher and I'm paying attention to what's going on, even though I wasn't leading today, I'm still the teacher, so I pay attention to what all of you are doing. And because I do that, I can't fall into a samadhi. If I did, well, you guys might be in Shodaigyo for 3 or 4 hours. Because I can stay there for a while. And for me, I'm aware of time, but time just doesn't seem to matter when you're in that position. That's one of the reasons that we use things like incense and timers. Because incense used to be used, we'd watch the incense go down, and there'd be somebody who was the timer. They had to watch that incense. Everybody else was allowed to go into a far off space, but that person had to watch that incense, and as soon as they got to the rim, done. So in our case, we use technology to be able to watch and do what we do. But the technology helps us because it allows us to get a little ways. Because I can slip a little ways as long as my eyes just kind of triggered there to where when it changes colors, I know that it's time for my mind to come back. So there are other forms, and we never claim that we're the only ones that you can reach enlightenment. We do sometimes say we're the easiest. But if you go to them, they'll say the same thing. So they might. I mean, the Zazen people always think that Zazen is the only way. Most of the Zazen people that come to us from Zen think that this is a lot easier. They think that you reach samadhi much faster chanting than they can concentrating on the breath. But those are all up for discussions. Maybe it's just some people are better at chanting, some people are better at silent. Well, I shouldn't say I'm not good at silent, because I went and sat with the Zen people before. And when I first started practicing Nichiren Buddhism, I would have been able to sit silently. And I know my mind was just, but now I go in, I sit down with them, and I sit there, and I get in place, and I'm there. But in my mind starts chanting automatically, even though I'm not doing it loud. So I automatically get there with it, and I say just as well as they do. usually that's quite impressive for them, but I've been doing it. I've been doing it for a while. So that's one of the other things you'll find, is you'll be able to cross over into other forms really easy at that point. Not that I recommend that. This is my lineage, so I recommend this, of course, you know. So any other questions?
I definitely think you needed to speak up more about this, because it makes perfect sense now.
Well, that's why I did speak up about it. I do speak up about it every once in a while. I don't do it every single time because not everybody is brand new. Sometimes, you know, you can start sounding like a broken record, and I don't want to sound like a broken record. But in this case, I think it's important every once in a while to reiterate, even to the people that have been practicing for a while. Sometimes they veer off and forget why we're doing certain things. But yeah, we talk about it all the time. So don't worry, you'll hear it again.
Good. Good.
You will.
So we have creations,
Yeah, sometimes. So yeah, it's a slow process, and like I tell a lot of people, when you come into Buddhism, there's 2,500 years of history and 750 years of history just in our lineage. So don't expect to learn it overnight or even in a year. It's going to take a few years before you have all the terminology down and with the holidays on, right? Why we do what we do and how we do it and what the theory is behind it. And you'll be a perpetual student because all of us are perpetual students, including myself. I go to continuing education all the time. And so depending on how far you want to go is I'm here, I'm the teacher. So a lot of times at general meetings, we don't go too far. It's just, you know, a little glimpse so you understand the basics. But for those that want to go further, there are opportunities for that also. This week starts the Nichiren Order of North America week-long intensive retreat, which is being held in Houston, Texas this year. It'll be back up here in a couple of years. We rotated it around the United States because it's usually harder for everybody to, you know, certain areas to go clear across the United States just to go to a retreat. But I encourage people, if you can, to go and do it. It's very, very powerful. Intensive retreats are powerful because you get to practice a lot. And you get to find out things about yourself and your practice. Sometimes people think their practice is pretty intense and they go there and realize that it's not very intense at all. And sometimes it is intense, and this intensity helps you get even further. Sometimes that's when you actually jump into that first samadhi, is that things like that. So people have epiphanies as well. They're at these kind of retreats. And for me, that's where I had my first one. So I tend to push retreats really much because it's through that intense training you usually get that. And when you're by yourself, it's hard to do that kind of training. So it's a good thing. Ajo here will be going. Ajo here is, for all of you that don't know, she is one of our lay leaders in this group. Nichiren Shu doesn't have an official lay leader program, but we're working on that right now. And she is one of those people that's been studying as a lay leader. Every once in a while, you're going to see that on the meetup group. There'll be a lay leader weekend. If you would like to come to a lay leader weekend, first you have to be a member of the Sangha. And if you're a member of the Sangha, then you can go to a lay leader program. Going to the lay leader program once does not make you a lay leader. You'll have to go several times. So it might take a couple of years before we'll even call you a lay leader. Lay leaders assist the minister in doing different things. As you can see, part of her training, though, is to sit here and guide you guys during the Shodaigyo. And also, when I'm gone, the lay leaders are responsible for doing services and stuff, so the services continue even while there's nobody here. Part of being a good Sangha is having those lay leaders so they have that opportunity. Also, there might be opportunities where there might be some community event or something that I can't go to, but I can send the lay leaders as a representative of our Sangha. So they fall into all those categories. The only things they can't do is they can't marry people, and they can't officially, through our order, they can't marry people. Anything that would be considered a blessing, they're not allowed to do, and they can't make new disciples. So they can't give jukai, which is the giving of vows. So you can only give vows to somebody who's been ordained. So we will be having a jukai in October. If you've been coming to the Sangha more than 6 months, I think you might want to be a member. Talk to me about it. We only give jukai twice a year, once in October and once in April. So those are the time periods when you take vows into the Sangha, and then you can decide if you want to become members of the Temple Association. So becoming a member of Nichiren Shu and becoming a member of the Temple Association are two different things. Becoming a member of Nichiren Shu is taking vows to uphold the Lotus Sutra and receiving Omantra Gohonzon through Nichiren Shu. Belonging to the Temple Association means that you're going to pay dues every single year, which at this time I think a family is, yes, 125 and individual is 110. Okay, 110.
Is taking vows the same as taking refuge?
Taking refuge we do almost every single time. So to take refuge is just to say I'm going to follow the Buddha.
Okay.
Taking vows is a little bit deeper. It's like the next step.
Okay.
So you could take refuge and be a friend of the Sangha forever.
Okay.
But some people want to go further than that. So taking refuge, the vows literally are you vow to uphold the Odaimoku, you vow to uphold the Gohonzon, you vow to uphold the Lotus Sutra itself. So it's a little bit different than taking refuge to uphold Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha because it's a more general kind of thing. So at that point, if you take the vows, then you are officially a member of Nichiren Shu, and you go in the record book as being a person of Nichiren Shu. If you decide to join the Temple Association, then you become a member of the Temple and a member of Nichiren North America, which is our district. And then you have voting rights, and you have the right to become a board member if you really want to do extra work for free. Then you can do that. Those kind of things. Yeah. So, but you become more in control of how the Sangha functions and stuff. Even though friends are allowed to come to business meetings and stuff, and they can say how they feel about something, they can't vote on it. When everybody else goes, well, no, let's go ahead and do this, or let's not do this, or And sometimes people don't think it's important, but when I was in the Portland Temple, I mean, we had a whole entire episode where we had to decide what color the downstairs dining room was going to be. And I wish I was on vacation during that time. But, I didn't think we could get so diversified of a group that wanted different colors that it became a huge issue. And in those cases, the minister tries to hide because it's hard. But if we come up, if I decided, well, I'm going to pick this group because I like this color the most, then I have to put up with the rest of eternity. They'll never let me forget I picked that color. So usually I'm out of most of those kind of decisions. But at this point, we have a very small congregation. So our board of directors is basically just a president, a treasurer, and a secretary. That's all we have. In the board of directors for the Portland Temple, when I was there, we had 16 people, directors. So we call it a working board now because the board also took care of cleaning the temple and things like that, and rotation. So, those are all things that as we grow we can look at. But we try to pretend like we're a big group. It's easier to pretend we're a big group now, that way we don't have to worry about changing things in the bylaws and stuff later. So do everything by the book, by the rules, and very interesting situations come up and everything. And of course, also if you're a paying member, you can look in books and all that kind of stuff and see what kind of you can see how poor we actually really are. And so all those things are part of the benefit of being that. And some people just want to be able to say, I'm a member of this temple. Even though some people say they're members of this temple, they haven't quite done that, but in a way they are. They're members. We use the distinction as friends.
Mhm.
Friends. So I think all of you would be considered friends at this moment because you come to the temple, but membership is like I said, only twice a year that we have a vow. The vows are taken in front of the Sangha. So usually you have to come up here. Usually there's 3 prostrations and vows and 3 vows that you have to take. Then we give you a gohonzon. And of course there's a price to go with it too, because gohonzon we don't give for free. So the price covers the gohonzon and a small donation to the temple itself. So
Thank you.
yes, thank you. I don't know if our person is still here now. Maybe they are. And in the next few months, we are going to be starting the process of packing things and getting ready to move. And hopefully through the move, we don't mess up too much and get loose. We're going to try to keep doing our broadcasts as much as we can. There might be a few weeks where we get stuck where there might not be broadcasts, but hopefully there will be all that. We will keep everything on the meetup, and there will be some time periods when people can come and help move things, or help paint, or help do other things over at the new building, getting things ready for the Hondo. So we'll try to keep those things on the meetup so that people know what's happening and what might be available that they can help volunteer with. So just keep a watch on that. Okay.
Thank
you. So to close the meeting, why don't we chant Hodaimoku 3 times? Amum Yo